Hello everyone, welcome back to another Dark Souls beginner guide video. So, I said last time that I missed the Eagle Shield, which is in Blighttown. So I made a point into running all the way over here to show you this time where it's at exactly. So, if you look, this is the ladder that goes up to the tower, to the squid thing. Kind of giving you just a 360-degree look here. This is where the squid thing was, and that's where Power Within was, and you'd grab that. You should be able to find this place pretty easy. It's shortly after the first bonfire in Blighttown, so you really shouldn't have too much trouble finding it. If you go down here, you take a path down to the first fog gate, also where you get the whip. Down here, the fog would be in that little archway there, and then the whip, you would have to drop down from there. So, you're in this area. That's where you want to be if you want this Eagle Shield, which is a tower shield that's really lightweight, and it has some not bad stats, really. It doesn't have 100% physical because it's wooden, but it has 95 or something, which is good enough. Especially if you play Dark Souls 2, a lot of shields aren't 100% in that game. So you might want to get used to, you know, having a shield that doesn't do 100% physical, because that's not all that common in the next one if you're planning on playing that. So there's kind of a view of where we are in relation to the first bonfire. And you want to be here. See this torch with a ladder. You want to go down this ladder here. And you want to go around this corner. This guy's dead, but he's usually right here waiting to ambush you. So you run down here, and here's the Eagle Shield, which I'm going to show it back at the bonfire near Andrei, because that's much better than showing it here. Also, it's much safer too. So here we are back at Andrei. I have no idea why I rested there. And let's see, Eagle Shield is right there. So it looks like it's about the same as the Crest Shield, except it's better in lightning and much better in stability and a little worse in everything else. It's not very big for a tower shield. Looks like that. And it's pretty lightweight, so if you want to get into great shields, it's a nice starter great shield. You don't get a parry though, you get this shield bash, which shield bashes are supposed to stun enemies so that you can hit them again, but I prefer the parry, mostly because with a shield bash that depends upon poise. You can't just shield bash somebody all the time and make them stagger, whereas a parry, no matter how big they are, if they're like a human enemy like you or me, then you can parry them, pretty much. There's very, very few weapons and attacks that can't be parried. So anyway, we are not going to go to Sen's Fortress in this video. I know last time I said that I was going to, but I decided to run around and do some miscellaneous things instead. Like, we're going to reinforce that katana, Iato, here. And I really don't have a lot to reinforce with. I only have one shard or whatever, and I don't have a ton of souls. But I should buy a few shards and try to upgrade it if I can. Because I'm going to be using this against that stray demon back at the asylum. Since this is a katana, it does much more damage than the Morning Star, and it's going to be upgraded, and it also does bleeding. So we should be able to go in there and completely wipe out the stray demon without much effort. Important to note, Crest of Artorias is something I'm going to buy. I showed it there for a second in his inventory. It's 20,000 souls, so if you kill the stray demon, you actually get 20,000 souls exactly, so you can hold on to it, run over here, and buy that. I end up getting 20,000 souls just by running around in the forest, which is where we're going to go first. and then I spend those 20,000 souls on the crest, and then later use the souls from the Stray Demon to buy some other stuff and level up. So what you should do, and you don't really have to, but you should run over and kill this guy. He's actually not insanely strong. He just has good, like, defense. So I'm really doing like 120 or 140 per hit, but he doesn't have that much health. He might have like 3,000 or 4,000 health, not like 10,000 health, which is something you would think. He's big, he's stone, he would have a ton of health, but he doesn't. So I would advise killing him, because it'll make your run in and out of the forest area, because you're probably going to do that from here most of the time. It'll make it a lot easier. Plus, you don't want the off chance that you're running through here and you die and somehow lose souls. And on top of that, he drops Demon Titanite, which is boss weapon upgrade material, which there is a way to get infinite of that pretty easy, actually. So if you do get into making boss weapons, which we can't do yet, then you can upgrade your stuff with that pretty easy. Boss weapons are usually just unique. They may not be better, they got a special attack or something different about them that most don't. So here we are in the Darkroot Garden. This is a new area, but it kind of links to other areas. If you go this way and you keep going down, you can eventually end up at Firelink Shrine. If you go this way and kind of go off to the side instead of going down, then you can actually end up back in Undead Burg, which is pretty cool. But we are not going to go that way right now. We're going to go over here. I'm going to show you where to use that crest, and we're going to do an optional boss for a Divine Ember, which you can give to Andrei to make divine weapons, which really has a use in one area of the game, the Catacombs specifically, but clerics also might get a use out of it because it scales with their faith. So they get a magic damage that scales with their faith instead. So if you are a high faith cleric, like right now you might have 25 faith or something, it's not a bad thing for you because your weapon will now actually use the stat, your faith stat, to do extra damage. It'll be magic damage instead of physical. Some enemies are weaker to magic, some are stronger against it, so that's for another time later though. Here we have this door. It says locked by some contraption. You can kind of guess that that's probably where you use the crest of Artorias. And over here we have a bonfire hidden behind an illusion wall. A lot of people don't know about this the first time they run through here, and it's not that far from the blacksmith bonfire in Undead Parish, so it's not something if you did miss you'd be completely screwed. Just saves you a few extra steps. So over here to the right you have a body with an item on it, except when you grab that, these little spiky bush things you might see on the ground actually pop up into those tree guys that have been attacking us. They don't do it unless you grab the item. So I'm not going to grab it. It's just a soul, I believe. Not worth a ton. I think it's worth maybe like 2,000 souls at most. It's probably even less than that. It's probably like 800. And then you have to deal with those guys forever. So I'm not going to do it. You can do it if you want. Just know that you're going to have to kill those guys from now on. And we're going to run into here and got these stone giant guys that we got to deal with. Now, they swing pretty slow, but they do pretty good damage. They also can slow you down, which is really a trick that their sword does. And so I actually managed to get a shield and a sword from them, which is pretty rare. But again, I've been really lucky with item drops, which I think has something to do with my constant 1 humanity in the counter. So I'm keeping it that way, because usually I don't get that kind of stuff. But if you get their sword, you actually do what they just did. And if you go near them, it really slows you down. You can barely run. See, my guy's moving super slow, and he has this weird yellow ring around him. You can do that to other players if you do PvP. You can do that to certain enemies too. So that's what the sword does. And it's really more of a screw the opponent over tactic because they can't run and they can't really roll. So you've got some time to hit them and damage them. So that's a tactic some people use. Really with them, they swing super slow. For me, it's about 4 hits, two-handing my weapon to kill them, which isn't a lot. And when they do that magic cast, then they're wide open for a good few seconds, which means you can usually kill them. And if you kill them after they do their magic cast or during their magic cast, the magic effect goes away. So you don't need to worry about that. If you see them doing it and you don't have enough time to hit them, like I didn't there, just run away. They're not super fast, and it's probably just best to avoid them for now. They can get hung up in the trees like mine. And you can try and shoot them with arrows or throw magic at them. In Dark Souls 2, free aiming magic is a lot better. So if you want to like kind of toy with free aiming magic in this game, just know that if you get the hang of it, you'll definitely get the hang of it in the next game. And we'll kill him, and this is the Stone Great Shield, which you actually need for an achievement to collect rare items. But looking at it, you can see that it's a great shield, but it weighs 20 pounds, and you need 38 strength to even use it with one arm. So you need a lot of strength to even use this thing. It's got some pretty good defenses and really good stats, but it's really, really heavy. And so you can see the difference between that and the Eagle Shield. The Eagle Shield only is 6 pounds, and you don't need that much strength. You need 16 strength to use it. Which, if you're trying to get into great shields and stuff, introductory, that's probably your best bet. But in the long run, if you're trying to use something like this, just know that it's going to weigh your character down a lot. And so you're probably not going to be able to have a big shield and a big weapon and heavy armor and roll around very well. There are items and stuff you can equip to try and make it easier for you, but in the end, it's still kind of hard to be that kind of character. So we'll run over here and we'll kill this guy. He drops the sword, which does that magic effect. If you read up on it, it'll actually tell you that it does that. Those are the stats for it. 40 strength to use this with one hand, but you can two-hand a sword, or any item really, in your right hand. So if you really wanted to use the shield in your right hand, you could. You would have to two-hand your shield to use it effectively. So if you're going to two-hand something, probably your weapon would be better. But anyway, so if you run around here, we'll kill this last stone guardian guy here. Not too bad if you can get on him and there's nobody else around. And they're 600 souls apiece, so if you really want to farm them, you can. But there's a better farming area once you buy that crest and open up that door. So now we're going to run back this way, because somewhere around here is an opening into a little side area where you can get a spear called Partisan that is much longer than a normal spear. It's actually right over here. So we'll walk over here. These weird snake-looking vine things are actually an enemy, so you want to kill those. And I was being followed by this guy. So now you get Partisan, which, like I said, is a really long spear. So Partisan is right there. You get a D scaling in strength and a C in dexterity. It's got a slightly different moveset than a winged spear, and it's a little bit longer. They say because of its length in cramped quarters it's not so great, but it's a thrusting weapon straight ahead. So if you're in a tunnel like this, it's actually great to have. And you can kind of see the difference. Wing spear, They're going to have basically the same moveset, except for like rolling or sprinting attacks might be different. But Partisan has a D in strength and a C in dex, and Winged Spear has a slightly higher C in dex and an E in strength. And their stats are a little bit different, and you can compare them. So over here in this stone ruin area, this is actually the optional boss we're going to fight in a moment. But for right now, we've cleared out the garden area, which is nice. Or at least this part of the garden area. So we can go on to another area. We just got to get back to where we walked in from. And you can get turned around pretty easy. So try to establish some landmarks of some kind. But you can see here, this is the area with the 3 guys that wake up if you grab that item. And if you go to the right here, you'll see this tree, and you can actually see it's moving around, which is kind of weird. So hit it a few times, and it dies. 180 souls. But most importantly, you open up another path to another area that's kind of hidden. So now we're going to run over here, and you'll find your first weird lizard thing. I forget what these guys are called. But they drop an item a lot of people farm for PvP, because it's this green blossom, which you eat to restore stamina, like if you were wearing the Chloranthy ring or the grass crest shield, which I don't have yet, but I will show you where to get that. If you're wearing those, you get that stamina boost, where you can also eat one of the green blossoms to have a temporary effect like that, so you don't have to. So you can have that regeneration, might eat one before a boss fight or during a boss fight to help. We've only got a couple more of these stone giant guys in this area, and then they'll be gone. It's only one here, so he shouldn't be too difficult. The main problem with enemies like this, especially in the forest, is that they back up into more enemies, and you can get overwhelmed pretty easy. But you can see his magic effect is gone since he's dead, and now we can kill these weird lizard things. Green blossom. So you can always come this way and farm these guys for those blossoms. That one's just gonna go over there then. And if we run over here, we'll pick up a soul. Soul of a Proud Knight. That's worth a few thousand souls, I think. And this isn't an illusion wall. I don't know what this guy's talking about here, but there's nothing over here you can see. So we'll run this way. And there's some more stone ruins. Take you into this tunnel here. Up at the top of this is another one of those stone guardians, but then after that, that's the last one. But really important, because he's actually guarding a ring that's pretty helpful too. Hit him a few times. Nothing. And here you'll get the wolf ring, which is a special ring too. And to get out of here, you just run and jump, and you land back at that hidden bonfire, sort of. Pretty close to it. These guys are back because I rested at that bonfire. And you can farm these guys for all your moss clumps, like your blooming purple and your red and your normal purple. So if you don't want to buy them, you can kill these guys. And they have a pretty high chance of dropping it. So it's something I would go do if you're looking for more of those. But the wolf ring, it tells you a little bit about lore. It says it's for Gwyn's faithful knight Artorias, and he had an unbendable will of steel, unmatched with a great sword, and this ring boosts poise. And poise is how easily you're staggered. So right now I have 5. If I put on this ring, I'll have 45. So this is a 40-point boost in poise just by putting on this ring, which is really nice. Because you'd have to put on some heavy armor to get that kind of effect. So I think, actually, I'm going to put that on, because I don't need the rusted iron ring right now. And you see that I kind of glow this whitish purple effect. My Chloranthy ring is still on, though, so I still have that. It's just that the game doesn't display more than one body effect. So if you're glowing with the wolf ring, you can also still have the grass crest shield or the Chloranthy ring stamina regen effect. It's just covered by this one. But we also picked up the Elite Knight armor, which, if you've seen some background images and stuff for Dark Souls, this is a pretty common armor that you see. It's actually the armor that Oscar in the very beginning in Undead Asylum, the guy that you kill to get the crest shield, he's wearing this too. So you can put this on. You can see that the helmet gives you 8 poise, and it's only a little bit more than my standard helmet, so I'm going to put that on. And the armor is a lot more than the hard leather armor for weight, but the stats also go up pretty nicely too. I mean, there's 20 poise on that armor. The gauntlets only weigh a little bit more, and you get a pretty significant stat boost in most things. So you put on those gauntlets probably, and then the leggings are pretty heavy. It's a good jump for leggings, but you get 12 poise instead of 0. So that's pretty nice to have, so you can put those on too. But I don't have the endurance leveled up, so I don't have the carry weight to medium roll with this armor on. Which kind of blows because this is a pretty good armor set. So I will fat roll for a little bit unless I change something. Which, what you can do if you're looking to change something to make your guy medium roll or something, you can take off a piece of the armor that you think will make you medium roll, so like the leggings for me, and check your equipment load, and then try putting on something that's, you know, not too heavy. Like these are the Wanderer leggings. So they are a lot lighter. They don't have the stats like the Elite Knight leggings, but they kind of match with the armor. It's all really about the look, unless you really, really get into the stats. You can have an ugly-looking character with the best stats, or you can have a good-looking character with pretty good stats. So, now we're going to run back over to the first stone ruin area that I pointed out, because this will take us to that boss. And if you look back here, you can kind of see a summon sign, so that's why you kind of want to be human. It's kind of hidden, but if you summon this NPC, Witch Beatrice, you can summon her later for another fight. If you don't summon her now, you can't summon her later. So, for the purposes of showing you everything that I can really show you that might be hidden, because this game is a little finicky, you have to meet certain requirements to unlock certain things or have NPCs for certain fights, so I'm going to try and do those. So for the purposes of showing you this in the walkthrough, I'm going to summon her. You really probably don't need her for this fight, because this boss really isn't that hard. It just does a lot of magic damage, so put on the crest shield and put on some magic defense armor. But even then, this boss isn't too bad. Yes, you're fighting a giant butterfly. But it's actually really cool, because this is one of few bosses that is really just, it's plain magic based. Everything it does is pure magic damage. So a lot of warrior classes, they get in with their heavy armors and they run in here with a sword and no shield, and they can get owned by this thing just because they don't have the right stats for it. Of course, Witch Beatrice is just way overpowered for this fight, and she can win this for you. She's got projectiles, so she can cast her own spells, and then she's also got just really high stats for magic, and it really doesn't do this fight justice by summoning her. It's really easy, and I'm kind of disappointed that I summoned her, but I wanted to show you what she can do, especially for this fight, and then later you can summon her for a hard fight, although I don't think she makes it that much easier. So, also in order to get her armor and her stuff, you have to summon her for this fight, so it's kind of sad because the Moonlight Butterfly is kind of a fun fight, just because it's not super hard. It's not like put a whole bunch of pressure on you and dodge, it's just like, how do you deal with magic damage? If you know your stats and you know how to deal with it, then the Moonlight Butterfly isn't a bad boss. If you don't know, well, you're gonna learn. But the main reason we go up and we kill that is so that we get the Divine Ember. And the Divine Ember will allow us to make divine weapons, which, like I said earlier, is for cleric builds mostly. But you can use it for another area, the Catacombs. I kind of talked about this earlier. But yeah, we'll get into that. Probably next video I'll go into the Catacombs. I was planning on doing it this video, so I got all prepared and everything. But in my time of killing the Stray Demon, killing the Moonlight Butterfly, showing you how to get some unique items, and not screwing yourself over, I took a lot longer than I expected. So I didn't go ahead and do the Catacombs this time, but probably in the next video we'll go ahead and we'll do Catacombs to get something that'll make your journey 10 times easier, and then we'll also go ahead and do Sen's Fortress, probably. So we're going to run down this way, instead of going to Andrei, because I noticed that I only need a couple thousand souls. And so I'm going to go down here, kill this crystal lizard, that's free upgrade material. And you can also get some unique items. Down here is where you'll get the grass crest shield. So if you've seen people use that or watched other people play, you get it down here. Which you can get it in the very beginning of the game if you have the master key or if you run all the way over here somehow. But doing this normally, you'll get it about now. You also pick up the leather armor, which is part of the hunter's armor. So you get a bow there. I think hunters also use the large leather shield, or I think it's just the leather shield and a short sword or a scimitar, maybe. I don't remember exactly. But if you started as the hunter class, that's the armor you had. And down here you'll fight a Black Knight with a Halberd. And the Black Knight Halberd is some of people's favorite weapons. There are a lot of players that run straight here as early as they can to get the Black Knight Halberd. I'm lucky again and managed to get one. I can't use it effectively right now, but it is a really, really good weapon for dexterity users. It's got really long range and it's powerful. So we'll go ahead and kill this Black Knight. Blue Titanite chunk and Black Knight Halberd. 1800 souls. The Black Knight Halberd and any Black Knight weapon, for whatever reason, I've been getting them, but usually I don't. So, I don't know, I guess if you want to see if I'm just lucky or whatever, you can try popping another humanity, because I only have the one and I've been getting everything. So, Black Knight Halberd normally does 245 if you have the stats for it, a D in strength and an E in dex, which isn't fantastic for scaling, but you start with a 245 physical damage. And this weapon, upgraded and stuff, can get you through most of the game. So I guess it's really not a good dexterity weapon. It's more of a strength and dexterity weapon. But you think with halberds and with spears and stuff, you usually think dexterity. I can't use it effectively, but if you get it, you can try and level up your character to use it properly. It's pretty fun. And here's the Grass Crest Shield, which is right here. It doesn't have great stats, has good fire and lightning, but stability is lower than the crest, and everything else is lower than the crest. And basically the reason why you get this is because it provides the same effect as the Chloranthy Ring, which I mentioned earlier. And it does stack, so you can wear the ring and you can have the shield, and your stamina will increase at a tremendously huge rate. And then you can eat a green blossom on top of that and make your stamina go up even higher. So yes, there are ways of making your character's stamina just go up so high that it's almost not an issue. I'm not going to use it, probably. But there are a lot of people out there that do use that full-time, even for two-handed weapons. If you don't have the strength to one-handed weapon, you can just put the shield in your other hand and put it on your back, and you'll get the effect of the stamina boost just for it being on your character's back. So a lot of strength users will put the shield on instead of a ring, because they have to put rings on to help them carry their heavy armor or heavy weapon. And down here, you'll notice in the water there's something moving, and there's these crystal guys. In the water over there is a Hydra, which we are not going to fight right now, but if you want to do the DLC for this game, you have to kill that Hydra. Which it seems like it's gonna be really hard, but it's actually not that bad to kill. It's just really scary, and the water blasts do pretty good damage to you. But if you get past that and you get close to it, it's not that bad. And when we killed the Moonlight Butterfly and went up to the blacksmith, we picked up the Watchtower basement key. Well, you can see that there's already somebody back here that's trying to get to us. But the key opens up this door. And that guy is Havel. He's known as Havel. And he's pretty hard to kill. He's got super heavy armor, a super heavy weapon, and a great shield. And really the thing about him is that he's kind of slow. So you want to try and get around and backstab him, but he can and probably will one-shot kill you. So be very, very careful when fighting him. I wouldn't recommend you go down here with 20,000 souls and battle him. He was blocking, that did 19. But when he two-hands his club like that, that thing can kill you in one hit, two-handed. It's devastating. Somehow I barely have enough stamina to actually block that effectively, which I'm actually kind of surprised I was able to do that. But really, strategy with him is wait for him to swing, dodge, or move out of the way somehow, get behind him and backstab him. Keep doing that. You can parry him. It is possible to parry his club and riposte him and do more damage that way. But if you screw up your parry, he's pretty much going to kill you. And you don't want that to happen. So just let him swing. Go ahead and backstab him. If I didn't have 20,000 souls, I would try and parry him. But I'm not super confident in my abilities, especially when I have a ton of souls that I don't want to lose. So we'll go ahead and kill him. Other than the 3,000 souls, he drops his ring, Havel's ring, which is a very good ring to have if you are a heavy armor or strength weapon or great shield user, because it gives you more carry weight, which is awesome, and it gives you a substantial amount, really. It gives you less and less the higher your endurance, but you can see I go from like 58 to 87 by putting this on, so it's great, which means that now I was able to medium roll before, so I can't light roll yet, but I can probably medium roll with the night leggings, which means that now I can have more poise by putting that on, and I might not need the wolf ring. I'm only wearing the wolf ring right now because that makes my poise super high, and it basically means I can't be staggered. But you climb up this watchtower, and you'll go through this door. And we're back in Undead Bird. We're actually up right underneath where you fight the Taurus Demon. So you can see we made a giant loop back here. And that's what's really cool about the Dark Souls series, is that you end up winding around to different areas. At least in this game more. In the later games, they added teleporting whenever you want to any bonfire you get, which isn't a bad thing, but it means that they didn't worry so much about areas connecting to each other, and so you don't really have that effect too often, but it does happen occasionally. But yeah, now we can run from here all the way back up where we got down from. And we can go back up to Andrei and buy that seal. There's the Hydra again. And so we'll run back up this path. If we were to go down even further past where we killed the Black Knight, there's actually a bonfire near there. But if we were to go that way and keep going down, because you can, you'll go into an area called the Valley of Drakes, which you might remember we entered very briefly after Blighttown. And you can actually follow Valley of Drakes all the way back to where the Blighttown exit is and to New Londo, and then you can take the elevator in New Londo up to Firelink Shrine. So this area actually connects to 3 major areas in the game early on. And so a lot of players, they'll pick up the Master Key first thing, or pick the Thief class, and then they'll open up the gate down in New Londo, run through Valley of Drakes, and come get all the stuff I just showed you how to get, and then run back this way to Andrei. And in essence, you actually skip all of Undead Burg by going this way. Which isn't a bad thing if you're really not concerned about anything that has to offer. But you don't really meet Solaire unless you go backwards, and the Red Drake, you don't get the Drake Sword unless you go backwards. And there's just other benefits too, so...
Might you consider leaving that with me? I can produce divine weapons with a flame such as that.
So basically, once you get the Divine Ember and talk to Andrei, you can give it to him, and he'll be able to make divine weapons. If you don't give it to him, nothing happens. You can give it to him later, but there's no point in not giving it to him. It's not like you could give it to a different blacksmith that's more convenient or something. Andrei can use the Divine Ember, most others, well, no other one can. So now you can see I can make a Divine Longsword. You can see the difference between my longsword and the Divine Longsword, kind of. And again, Divine scales with Faith, so if you're a high-level Faith build, then as a Cleric, you'll actually benefit from your Faith stat on your weapon, which is pretty nice. And I'll make a Divine Short Sword at the end of this video to prep for the Catacombs, but we won't go into the Catacombs just yet. So for right now, I'm going to focus on trying to level up Iedo so that I can go do the Stray Demon. Which, now that it's at +5, I'm not going to worry about it, because Andrei doesn't sell large Titanite shards, he only sells the normal ones. So to go get large ones, I'd have to go farm some enemies for them, and I don't feel like doing that. Besides, at +5, Iedo should be more than enough to kill the Stray Demon. I'm going to go ahead and put on the katana now. See if I can medium roll with that still. I should be able to. You can see the stats. I'll put it next to my sword, that way I can easily swap out. I can still medium roll and everything. And we'll take this up to the Stray Demon in Undead Asylum so that we can finally kill that thing, get 20,000 more souls, and a Titanite slab, which is used to max out a weapon. We're not even close to that yet, but Titanite slabs are kind of rare. You can only pick them up in certain areas, and after you pick those up, they're pretty rare. So, really, it's worth going and getting. So I'm going to fast forward this all the way to Undead Asylum. That way you don't have to watch me run there. And once you get here, remember, we've already been through the whole area so far, so there's really nothing that's too important about getting right now. You just want to kill these torch guys and probably rest the bonfire just in case you die. And then, yeah, you'll want to fight the boss, kill it, and go back. This is why I like trying to do the Stray Demon when I come here to get the Rusted Iron Ring, because I don't like coming back here just to kill him, basically. But if you really came here just to grab the ring and didn't worry about anything else, you have more of a reason to be here. So, once again, kill these guys, because we just rested. And you're gonna see just how easy it is to kill this thing now. It's not like super easy, so you're gonna crush him in 5 hits, but the bleeding on the katana, and the katana just being a much better weapon than the Morning Star, and me having the scaling and doing all the damage and whatnot, it all adds up. So your first order is to just heal yourself after that fall. It's kind of terrible that they do that. Once you get past that point, just hit the boss a few times. Boom, bleeding. What is that? Probably about a good 10th of his health, or a 15th or whatever of his health, less than that. And so we only have to hit him 3 times to get him to bleed. But we missed the 3rd hit there, so we're going to have to hit him a couple more times. Because this bleed bar, you can't see it, but it exists. And it's dying down every second you don't hit him. So we got him to bleed again. You can see he's already near half health. When I first attempted this, I didn't get anywhere close to this with the Morning Star. And this is the power of bleeding against this boss. Bleeding in general can do this to other enemies, but this boss is really weak to it. Most enemies are not. Most enemies require 5 or 6 hits, and by that point, if you are a dex build with a katana, you've probably killed them. But nevertheless, katanas and bleeding are awesome. You can build a character all around this if you want. No struggling, just killing him in probably about a minute. It's that easy to come in here and do that. Now, his magic attacks are still really deadly, even with your shields and armors and stuff like that we've picked up that's new. So you might die to him from that, but if you can get around his attacks, it shouldn't take you very long to kill him. And to leave, you either homeward bone out, but I wouldn't, and then you come down here to this cell. This is where we started. You can pick up your peculiar doll. We already did this, but it's pretty important that you come here and pick this up. There will be a Black Knight here if you didn't kill him when we were last here. Again, I already did this, so that's why I don't have anything there. I used a homeward bone, which was stupid, because I thought I was going back to Andrei, and I forgot I rested here, so I'm going to have to run all the way back. I end up spending my souls at Firelink Shrine at the Pyromancer, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it there. And so back we are at Firelink Shrine.
Oh, hello there. I'm pleased to see you safe.
Talk to the Pyromancer. He shouldn't really say anything different.
I can teach you pyromancy.
Go ahead and buy Fire Orb here, if you want. I'm going to. Combustion, that's cheap. You might as well get it now. Iron Flesh, you're probably not going to use, so I'd buy Flash Sweat, but I have the souls, I'm going to buy it now. And then I'm also going to upgrade my Flame to +5, just because 5 is a nice even number. And just like that, all my souls are freaking gone, but that's fine, because they got put into something useful and nice. And there's Framped again. You can talk to him to break down some stuff, which we're gonna do in a second.
You ring the second bell? That is incredible.
We didn't talk to this guy before.
But now we have a new problem. It's noisy, it snores, and its breath is lethal. This is no laughing matter, I tell you. Damn, that stench. And I was really beginning to like it here. Maybe it's time I do something about it.
So, if you talk to him like I just did, he's actually going to go away and you're not going to be able to find him. That's the last you'll actually be able to talk to him for.
Oh, you again? Me? I've become separated from my lady. I've scoured near and far, but no sight of her. Where could she have gone? My lady, to think I swore to protect you with my life.
So the cleric guy is
Highness,
back, and
where
he
have you
lost
gone?
the
I am
other
entirely
cleric
to
chick,
blame for this.
and
Oh, woe is me.
he's all sad
I am
about that.
unworthy.
But you can just
Deathly
keep
so.
talking to him and say that your needs are more important, and that he's got to sell you miracles.
I'm sorry. Miracles, was it? Sometimes I lose myself. Pay me no mind.
And you can still buy all the same stuff, nothing's changed. But they went down to the catacombs, and apparently only he returned, or he got separated from them. So either they're stuck down there somewhere, or they're continuing without him because he got lost, or whatever the case is. We're gonna go find out when we get down there, sort of. And we're gonna talk to Frampt here.
To see you well. Is it something urgent?
You can feed him miscellaneous things that you don't need. All the things that say feed item, those turn into souls. And feeding him Titanite breaks it down into smaller Titanite. So this is the way to the catacombs. We're not going there in this video, but I do plan on going there next time, like I said. If you want to try going back there, you can, but I suggest a divine weapon. And I run all the way over here before going, you know what, I should probably turn around and get some stuff from Frampt, because I don't have any green Titanite shards, and that's what you need to make a divine weapon. So I'm going to give Frampt one of my colored Titanite chunks. If you give him a blue or a red, it breaks down into green shards. There's also white chunks, and white breaks down into green too. So basically any of the colored ones that aren't gray turn into normal, or turn into green, and the grayish black ones turn into normal Titanite. You can break down green shards into normal Titanite too. But you need 3 green ones, and I'm probably not going to use red chunks or blue chunks. So I'm only breaking down 1, because I only really need 1. Red chunks are used to make stronger fire weapons and chaos weapons. Blue ones are used to make magic and enchanted weapons stronger. And then there's white chunks that are used for divine weapons to make them stronger. And each of those colors also has a slab. So there's a red slab, a blue slab, a white slab, and then there's normal chunks, normal slabs, and all of that. So colored stuff is for magic, and the normal stuff is for normal weapons. But I'm probably not going to do too much magic weapon or lightning or fire or divine weapon enchanting. It's probably just going to be normal weapons. The only divine I'm going to need is from a sword. And you'll see why next time. So I would suggest, if you're following this exactly, that you make the divine weapon like I do. It doesn't have to be a sword. It could be a spear, or it could be a club. A lot of people make a club, and that's fine too.
Well, you seem to be doing all right. Need anything forged?
But it's going to be expensive, because in order to get there, you have to reinforce a weapon to +5. So I have to take a short sword and get a short sword or any other normal weapon. So not the Black Knight stuff, not the stone stuff. Anything that upgrades with normal Titanite shards, I have to get that to +5. And then I have to, once it's at +5, have him ascend it into a divine weapon. And all that costs Titanite shards that I don't have. And costs souls to actually buy the shards and to reinforce the weapon so that it's stronger anyway. So if you're at this point and you don't know how to get more souls easier, or if you want to get more shards, you can either go back up and kill the hollow soldiers. They have a good chance of dropping shards. So do the Balder Knights. Or you can come down here, because I already spent the 20,000 souls on the Crest of Artorias, which if you were following along, you probably did too. You can come down here and use the Crest of Artorias to open up that glowing door we saw earlier. And doing that is going to unlock a new area with a new covenant that is used for PvP. And you can join them and do PvP battles. It's actually probably the hottest spot to do PvP. If you're into that, you should join up and do that. If you're not, whatever. We'll talk about it later. I do get invaded by somebody who's in the Covenant, and I end up beating him, and he invades me again, then kills me, and so I cut a lot of the stuff out so that it wouldn't waste too much time. But you want to run over here, and I gotta find Crest of Artorias. Crest of Artorias there. It says it opens the sealed door in the heart of the forest, and the door leads to the grave of Artorias, the Abyss Walker. And this is all required later in the game anyway. Well, it's pretty much required. And you unlock a new area in the forest. As soon as you enter in here, you're eligible to be invaded if you're human. Which I am human, and that's why I get invaded by another player. If you want to see who's around and invading, if you have DSCM, like I showed in the very first video, you can actually see who's online around your level in this area and if they're invading or not. So this part of the forest has some new enemies. They're all humanoid. But here is a Knight class character with a claymore and the Knight shield. If you kill him, you're going to get some good souls from him. Pretty much everyone in this area is going to drop at least 1,000 souls, and usually they drop 2,000 to 3,000. This is also a good time to learn parrying. If you are doing PvP, this is a good place to train against certain types of weapons like greatswords. So if somebody has a greatsword, you can learn how to parry that and do what I'm doing. Just like that, you get 3,000 souls. Now, he doesn't return. You kill the Knight guy, he's gone for good, which is fine. You don't really need him. If you kill the Sorcerer, there's also a Cleric and a Bandit and a Thief character. They all return forever. And they drop a couple thousand souls when you kill them. So this is a really good soul farming area because you can easily make back what you got by running through here a couple times. Like I said, if you're human, you get invaded though, which is what happens here in a few seconds. I kill this guy, I heal, I'm trying to get through here and show you what's going on, and I'll get a message shortly that says I've been invaded, and there's the sound. Now, obviously, I sped this up a lot, and so it's not as clear as it is, but this guy's wearing super heavy armor, the stone armor, which we can pick up here. He's using a halberd, and he's using a crystal shield, and he's trying to basically tank his way to victory, which kind of works because he's taking very little damage, so when I hit him, I do like 49, but he doesn't have a lot of health himself. He tries to run into a corner and hide and that kind of stuff, and I start using my pyromancy to get him off guard. He starts using his pyromancy, that's combustion, but in the end, I just avoid him. Now, there's sort of this like unspoken etiquette in this game when battling another player to try not to heal, but typically people don't listen to that if they get invaded. If you summon people to battle, you try not to heal because for the Phantom it's not fair. In any case, I'm going to continue on with my playthrough. If you're interested in that, there's probably somewhere on the wiki where they talk about that. But your end goal is to make it over here to this cat. You have to make it past a bandit and a cleric and a thief and other people. But when you meet her, she'll talk to you about how the Grave of Artorias is a myth and that people who wander in here are trespassers and they get attacked. And you can choose to agree with her, and by agreeing with her, she offers to let you join their little group of people so that you can kill invaders just like that guy tried to do. And you can do that if you want. I'm going to do this because there's other benefits, but this is mostly a PvP covenant.
And now
I would recommend joining them though for a couple
let us
items.
establish a covenant.
She tells you about joining and you reap rewards by invading people, and so they kind of just explain how the covenant
And
works.
here taketh this ring. If thou wearest that ring, it allows for thine summoning. If mine senses reveal intruders, then I will summon thee. Fend them off, sir. I beseech only this. I shall summon others who will, by their honor, work tirelessly with thee. Thou shalt receive great reward, and whatsoever ye shall pillage will be thine own. A true agreement, not so? But thou must heed the golden rule. The clan is thine own family. To thine kinsmen forever stay true. Darest not in any attempt to double-cross. Have no doubt, such wretchedness never will we tolerate.
So anyway, she tells you basically, you put on this ring, and if somebody steps into the garden area, you'll be summoned, and you'll have to fight them. If you beat them, you get an item or of some kind that is loot for you to keep. And there might be other people there to help you. There might be other people in here other than the host attacking too.
Except there is little in the form.
When you join, this guy will tell you a little bit more about the rules. He says basically whoever kills the person, that's part of the hunt, and they get the reward. Basically everybody gets the reward if somebody dies in here. And traitors aren't given a second chance for any reason, is what he says, but you can totally betray them and then cleanse yourself of sin, which is something I'll do later, and you can rejoin them and everything will be fine. They won't care.
You'll be called hunters with patience.
But mainly why you do this is because back here behind him, he's got a little ninja friend, and this ninja guy has a ring that you can't get anywhere else. And so you can kick him off the edge, but as soon as he falls and dies, you piss everybody else off. And so what ends up happening is I do this, and I get swarmed, and I die in a couple spots. So the video cuts even more. But see, now he's pissed, and all the other guys are attacking me. If you talk to the cat, she'll say you're a traitor, and, you know, you get what's coming to you and all that other stuff. So I'm going to grab the stone armor, and then it's going to cut into another segment to the other reason why you do all this, is so that you can get some more items that are unique to these guys. So after you get your stone armor, if you're not being chased, I'm still being chased and I died. But if you come over this way, eventually these guys will stop following you. They're backing off a little bit, and you can watch them back off and do their own thing. But we're coming over here to get an item in a chest. You don't have to join them to get to this item, but it's easier to get to this item through their path. And if you join them, then everybody's peaceful unless you kick off the ninja guy like I did. But really, your goal is to make it over here by these bigger mushroom people. They're called mushroom parents. And even though they look like they're probably not that strong, they are very strong. They've been known to one-shot players too, so don't judge them because they're pretty powerful. And if all this seems like it's going really fast, it kind of is, because I died a lot, and I'm cutting the video to a point where, you know, something interesting happens, the whole point of running back here. Anyway, so in this chest, you get the Enchanted Ember. The Enchanted Ember you can take to the Magic Blacksmith in New Londo, and he'll be able to make enchanted weapons for you. Now, I'm going to go back up these stairs here, or at least I'm going to try without dying. Let's avoid Shiva and the bandit guy. You could kill them, but I would not kill Shiva, because Shiva actually, if you go back and you're at peace with this covenant again, and you're in the covenant, then Shiva can actually become a shopkeeper that sells really rare items that you really can't get any other way. So try not to kill Shiva. And the whole reason why everybody's pissed is because I kicked off the ninja guy who gives you the Darkwood Grain Ring, which lets you do flips instead of rolls if you're under 25% carry weight, which is really, really cool, and it's not something that they added in any other game. It used to be under 50% so you could do it on a medium roll, but of course that got nerfed for obvious reasons. So anyway, the other thing you want to do is run back here and try and kill this archer, and you can kill the knight that's with her too. But when she does a lot of damage with her bow, you get the best bow in the game from her in terms of dexterity, and you get a couple other things. You get her hat, which really goes good with the leather set. And so I'm trying to kill her, but it's kind of a pain, and everybody's pissed, and they're all chasing me. And they all run off into different areas and trigger other enemies, so I end up dying a couple times. But I'm pretty sure I take down this knight guy before. And remember, when the two knight guys are dead, they're gone. So this knight guy is not coming back, the other one's not coming back, and the same with the archer. Once you kill her, she's not coming back. And so after I kill him, I'll cut to where I managed to get her over the edge, and then I'll quit the game and reload, and you can pick up her stuff. Then after that, you don't really have to worry about the other enemies and stuff in here. We're going to go request absolution for our sin, because anytime you join a covenant and then break their covenant rules, you sin, and it's pretty expensive to do. For me, I think it was like 14,000 souls or something to do it, and I forget exactly why it's that much or what the rules are, because sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But basically, anytime you join a covenant, you break their rules, you sin, and if you want to rejoin that covenant, you have to request absolution from Oswald, where you fought the gargoyles, and so I'll do that in a little bit. But you can see I'm fighting her, and she runs back far enough where the sorcerer guy manages to get into the whole game over here. And I decide I'm not fighting him, so I cut over to this segment. Again, I die from something else, but your real goal is to get her back over here and try and get her to the edge, because she likes to back up, so try and get her to back up near this edge. And if she hits your shield, she bounces off and falls, or if you kick her, she falls, or if she rolls backwards, she falls. That's the real goal. And so now, once that's done, you can quit your game and reload, which causes her stuff to respawn back at her original spot. So up here, that's what the yellow orb is. We gotta get up this stupid hill. And all of that work, you get Twin Humanities, the Black Bow of Ferris, and Ferris's hat. Which all of that is unique to her, and you can't get it any other way other than killing her. So your two options really are kill the ninja guy and piss everybody off, or don't join, and while everybody else is pissed off, you can come over here and kill her and then join. It's about the same either way though. So since I joined to make everybody not hostile so that I could kill the ninja guy, I should have ran over and killed her before that, before I joined them. But I got invaded and died, and I was getting really upset, so I quickly ran to join the Covenant before killing her. And so I had to kill the ninja and her when everybody's upset. And so I probably shouldn't have done it that way, but the best ideal situation is to kill everybody the first time, run over here, kill her and the knight, then join the group, then kill the ninja guy, because the ninja guy and Shiva don't show up unless you join the group. Then once you kill the ninja guy and dodge Shiva and leave, you can request absolution, come back here and join the group again, and then everybody's peaceful and you have the special items while still being in the group and having all the benefits and everything. So it's a very complicated process, but you get some of the best, you at least get the best dexterity bow in the game from doing that and killing her. And you also get one of the best rings for really light armored characters. So if you're building a thief class, this is really more for you. For me, I'm probably not going to use a lot of the stuff that I just got. And if all of this is way too complicated or too hard, you can completely ignore it and don't even have to worry about it. Really, the main reasons why you go in here and join them is for easy access over to the Grave of Artorias, which is not a myth, and you have to come here later, and for some of the gear and for the PvP. So, we just picked up the Eastern armor, which I don't show off in this video, but that's Shiva's armor. So if you like the way he looked, you have his armor now. It's in the same exact area as he was. And so now we're going to run back over here and keep killing the tree things that get in our way. And now things should calm down and shouldn't cut off as much. So basically what I'm going to show next is if you didn't join them and you didn't want to deal with killing them every time you wanted to get over to that ember I picked up, you would run over to this right side and you'd kill these tree people by the Eastern armor, and you'd eventually get back to this path in front of the archer. And I know this is kind of not the best example. And you'd get on this path here, and you could go across this bridge. If you didn't even want to spend the 20,000 souls to unlock this area in the first place, you would go the reverse way of where we're going, which I will show you in a second. But basically, you would go up the ladder we just went down, and you would go across this bridge that we're about to go across, and go in that way. So there are multiple ways in, but there's the Hydra. You can see it much better now because we're a lot closer. And so what you'd have to do if you didn't want to spend your 20,000 souls is run down and probably kill the Hydra, because it's probably almost impossible to get up this ladder without dying from it. And then run up this ladder here and go across the way we just did to get here. And so you'd kill the Hydra, run up the ladder, run across the bridge, run over here, get this ladder, and you'd climb this ladder all the way up. And then you could have access to the forest people by going up the path to the right. Or if you wanted the enchanted ember, you'd have to come over here, which everybody avoids this area because there's an enemy that's kind of a pain in the butt to kill. So I will show you what it's all about. I will show you why most people avoid this. But basically, you walk in here, and you're going to see a big gray cat over in the background. And they like to do that rolling attack right there. And they can do a lot of damage really quick. And they have pretty good health. So really, it's a pain to go this way. Nobody kills the Hydra and climbs the ladder and goes this way into the garden, when they can just spend the 20,000 souls, make it back, and join a covenant an easier way. But if you didn't want to do that, here's an entirely other option for you if you don't like the idea of spending 20,000 souls. So let me speed this up. And here we're fighting it still. It's kind of a long process because if you keep running out to where it runs away to, then there's two more that can attack you, and you really don't want to die all the way out here. I know I didn't because I had almost 30,000 souls, so I played it safe. But basically, you'd wait for it to do an attack or the roll attack or something, get it over here, hit it a couple times, throw magic, whatever you gotta do, and then finally you get to a point where you kill it, and 2,000 souls later, that's dead, and there are 2 more to kill. Something I'm not looking forward to, that I don't want to do right now, and I'm sure you don't want to do either. There are some items. We'll come back here later when we're stronger, because this area is starting to get into harder stuff where they didn't really anticipate you coming back here this early. But basically, you'd kill the other 2 cats, and you'd follow a path around, and you'd get back to the Enchanted Ember. So, in case all of that was really confusing, because I had my several cuts, and it probably was, to summarize, you can either buy the crest from Andrei and go through the door, and you have the choice of joining the Covenant or not to get back to the Enchanted Ember. If you join them, you can run through the area peacefully without having to kill all of them. If you don't join them, you either kill all of them and then run over back to where the Ember is, or you go off to the right and have to deal with the cats. If you don't want to spend the 20,000 souls on opening that door and going that path, you would have to run down and kill that Hydra going the other way, and then you'd have to climb that really long ladder, go across the bridge, climb another ladder, and then you either go back and fight all the guys that are in the garden there, or you kill the cats, and eventually you'll get back to the Enchanted Ember. And all paths lead to the Enchanted Ember, which leads eventually to Artorias' grave with a boss that is required to kill later. So, it was really confusing. I probably botched it up terribly, and I'm sorry for that, but that is my shortened version of what you would have to do if you wanted some of that special and unique gear that I was talking about, and getting the Enchanted Ember. So now what I'm going to do is go up to Oswald and request absolution so that my sins that I just acquired from joining and betraying a covenant can be forgiven. That way I can join them again later and still get all the benefits of being in that group, even though they say that they don't accept traitors. So I will speed this up to Oswald. And in case you forgot who Oswald is, he's the guy you run up here where you fought the gargoyles and all of these guys with the channeler way back like 4 videos ago or something. And you'd run up this path here, kind of where you freed Lautrec. Here's the gargoyle arena. And then you'd be back here. And he appears only after you ring this bell. But you talk to him, and I said we wouldn't talk about sin when we met him, but now we're going to talk about it. So it cost me 18,500 souls to request absolution. What this does is makes any group that hates me in terms of covenants not hate me anymore. It also makes any people that are coming after me, because I've been killing a lot of other players online, because there's a whole covenant dedicated to killing those who kill people, it also makes me not on that list.
Hast thou acquaintance with Petrus of Third? I wager you two have likely found much in common. For is he not too drenched in sin? Hast thou acquaintance with Petrus?
So he says something interesting there. Petrus of Thorland is the cleric guy where he's all like, oh, you want miracles, right? And he just said that Petrus is drenched in sin, which means he's done some terrible things, and that just makes his character a little bit more interesting. We will find out why all of that is later. But this whole side path has been so that we can get some unique items.
I'm afraid you'll have to look for someone else.
Andrei's talking about the enchanted ember. He says that he can't use it. I'll have to find somebody else that can use it, which we know of a magic blacksmith in New Londo, which I showed, I think, in the second video, maybe the third. And we know that he exists and that he'll probably take it because he's a magic blacksmith. So if you go back to him and talk to him, you can give him that ember and be able to make enchanted weapons. What I'm doing now is just reinforcing the short sword to +5 so that I can make it a divine short sword. And remember, you can only make stuff divine or magic or whatever at a blacksmith that ascends it. Once it becomes a divine weapon or becomes a, you know, better normal upgraded weapon, you can do that at a weaponsmith box at a bonfire. But yeah, basically we now have a divine short sword that we made, and we can use this in the Catacombs in the next video. So really, all of that was just prepping for this. And you can see short sword is not really much different than the long sword. The stats on it compared to a normal short sword, it's still a lot better than a normal short sword because it's already upgraded to +5 and then got a divine thing. So it's been upgraded 6 times compared to the other one. It might not be all towards physical damage, but it's nevertheless been upgraded 6 times more than the normal short sword. And that's where this game can get kind of confusing. So if you're lost, just know that you have to get any weapon up to +5 that takes normal Titanite, and then you can make it divine, and you can take that into the Catacombs. And right there, the game had glitched again, and I couldn't get up, so that's why it cut to here, so that I could actually wave goodbye this time. So next time we'll go to Sen's Fortress and the Catacombs. You can go there now if you want, but in the next video I will cover those areas. So until then, see you guys next time.